Kitchen Lab. Debunking the Debunker, Part 2, The Spine, by Maren Diehl, 2021. In the second part of fact-checking the video, Debunking BioTensegrity by Dr. Patrick Johnson, we'll first have a look at his conception of the spine and its functional principles. To understand why biotensegrity can't work for Dr. Patrick Johnson and others who think the same way, you need to know their basic assumptions. In their conception, tensegrity models of the body are fake because they don't match the anatomy. That misses the point. They were never meant to be anatomically correct, but to highlight the balance of internal forces. Food for thought. In their conception, the chords in tensegrity models represent the work of the muscles, but this is too simplistic. The chords represent the tension elements within the anatomy, which might then be compared with muscles and fascia, but also much else. In their conception, the lower vertebrae are bearing the weight of the structure above, and tensegrity would increase the compression in the spine. That means the compression in the vertebrae as well as the compression between the vertebrae and on the discs. We'll have a closer look at this one. Here we are back to the kitchen lab. Let's have some fun again. We compare two different models of a spine, a pile of boxes, and a simple tensegrity tower. According to Dr. Johnson, the tension in a tensegral structure would add too much compression on the vertebrae, but his model already includes compression. If the lower vertebrae are bearing the weight of the structure above, there must be compression between the vertebrae. So let's have a look at the pile in motion. If there is compression in a structure, this structure relies on this compression. A pile of boxes is under compression and perfectly stable when it is vertical and doesn't move too much. When it leaves the vertical, the tower falls apart. The lower the frictional resistance, the faster. To model the aforementioned idea of piled vertebrae, we have the difficult task to connect the boxes without adding tension. Loose, non-elastic safety straps will do the job. We get a funny result. The structure that was supposed to be stabilized by compression seems to create tension as an answer to the loss of control. Thoughts? And how does the tensegrity tower perform? It is the same vertical, horizontal, upside down, and shaken by external forces. Dr. Patrick Johnson's moment of enlightening was when he realized that crossing struts are necessary for tensegrity and the body doesn't have them. Tensegrity is not about struts, but shows how the compression elements can be suspended or appear to float with the tensioned network. If the vertebrae can be suspended, there is tensegrity. My thought. So I've bought a model of a spine and disassembled it in my kitchen lab. As soon as the metal rod had been removed, the whole idea of a pile of vertebrae, each adding load on the one below, became obviously superfluous. But they are able to float. Science works best with elastic bands. Here it is. Here's the proof that the model vertebrae can float in a net of elastic bands without any compression in the facet joints. In the living body, the whole spine is packed in fascia. There is close packing, no space left. When looking at tensegrity in the body, we have to let go the idea of single chords as well as the idea of struts. There is tension and compression everywhere. except between articular surfaces. The articular surfaces can touch, but only exert compression under extreme circumstances. Here you see in detail that there is no contact between the vertebrae in the facet joints. And there is no need of a disc for keeping distance between the vertebrae, if there is the adequate tension. The discs are not heavily compressed, but simply connect the bones and add flexibility. They can be seen as the safety system of the spine, not as compression elements. This is why I've decided for tensegrity as the best matching model we have. As Steve Levin says, there are 2 models. You choose. Copyright Maren, Diehl, 2021.